About 200 South Africans, including students, are struggling to exit Ukraine as Russia's offensive in the country intensifies. Ukraine's ambassador to South Africa, Liubov Abravitova, joins us now to talk about this further. Ambassador, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us here on In Focus. Firstly, as the embassy, are you aware of the 200 people, South Africans, stuck in the Ukraine who are wanting their way out, and are you offering them assistance?
Good evening. Yes, we are aware about foreign students in Ukraine, about 16,000 African students studying in Ukraine, and some of them are struggling now to leave the territory of the country.
The process, then, Ambassador, that you're engaged with, have you been in contact with the South African embassy, or have you been in touch with South Africa to request that South Africans there in the Ukraine need to be repatriated or be taken out? Are there arrangements of that nature in place?
So basically, what's happening now in Ukraine? It's happening already for 3 days. This full-scale Russian aggression against Ukraine, and during that time, we had several opportunities for the people to choose either to stay, for all the people that are leaving Ukraine, either to stay on the territories where they live and go to shelters and to try to escape, or to leave the country. The war that the enemy is doing now, it's not the war of the roof. And there are no secure humanitarian corridors. Russians are shelling on and putting missile attacks on Red Cross, on ambulances, on orphanages, kindergartens. So we really cannot assure the secure corridors now from some of the major cities, especially from Kiev and from the east of the country. So people who decide earlier, and those students particularly whom we are talking about now, who decided earlier to leave their cities and were moving towards the safest for this moment border, which is Ukrainian border with Poland, with Romania, and with Hungary. Now they are approaching, together with the Ukrainian women and children, the borders. The queue at the borders is around 30 kilometers. So these are people who are walking, these are people who are entering with their cars. The situation is not under control. It is not. People are panicking. We spoke recently with the City Hall of Lviv. They say that on the stations, the train stations, people are screaming and crying. It's really chaotic now.
Yeah. So, Ambassador, if you're saying there is no secure humanitarian corridor at the moment, what is the advice then that you are giving to those who did not make their way earlier on to the Poland, Romania, and the Hungarian borders?
So maybe first of all, just start from saying that with most of the foreign students, we are in touch through different channels. With some countries that don't have their embassies in Kiev, such as, for example, Eswatini, Lesotho, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Madagascar, Mauritius, Mozambique. With some of these countries, we have honorary consuls who are aware about the students, the foreign students who are studying in Ukraine, and they are making chats on different messengers, and they are trying to accompany them, to supervise them, and to give the advisors. At least they know that they are in touch and they know where they are located. We are providing them with advices according where they are. So for those who didn't move out, there are shelters through all the cities. Through major cities we have subways, so this was the places. Of course, this is not the places of comfort. We have to understand. I'm sure you see in the news and on the pages of social media, people posting the conditions. It's terrible. With those students who are at the borders, and we are aware about big numbers, not only South Africans, but also from the countries of SADC, for example. With those who were able to contact the embassy of South Africa in Ukraine, we asked the ambassador to share with us the contacts, and we are trying to supervise them, even to just help with translations when they need, or to explain what is the better way to take the tram. And sometimes it's very chaotic because tickets are not available, and tickets are free, but to get onto the train you have to get a ticket, just to escape to exclude the chaos. So anyway, people are angry, people are fighting. It's not under control.
Is there some cooperation between yourself and the ambassador to Poland? There are reports, for example, of Africans being badly treated at the Ukraine-Poland border.
I think no one in that 30-kilometer skew can say now that they are well treated. I mean, not Ukrainian women and children, nor the foreign students. And yes, of course, we are in touch with the ambassador of South Africa in Poland, with the ambassador of South Africa in Ukraine since early morning.
And are they assisting in facilitating? And you're saying, for example, translations, things like which is the best route to be able to go out. You believe that they are assisting as far as that is concerned?
Of course they are assisting. This is our job. The piteous thing that we cannot do much, because for me, I'm located now in Pretoria, so you can imagine that you only can get through the phone, and luckily we have a connection now, because on the worst scenario there would not be a connection even. Yes, the ambassadors on both sides, in Ukraine and in Poland, are very helpful on their places. They can at least meet these people, come with them to shelters, to feed them. Some of them didn't eat for more than 12 hours.
Those who are in Ukraine, you're saying overall they should be on standby, they should be going to shelters, and if they go there, will they be getting food? Will they be getting, I suppose, at least the necessary necessities at this particular time in this awkward kind of situation where, as you're putting it, there are no rules that are being followed currently?
But you see, that is why we were calling on all the governments of the world to provide humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, because we need it. We need the tents for these people. Remember, it's February in Ukraine. It's our winter. It's one of the coldest months. It is snowing. And we really need the support from outside, because we are not able to cover this amount of people. That's why now the neighboring countries, of course, they can do much more than the countries that are locating very far. But any input would be appreciated now, and that would work not only for Ukrainian people who are suffering now of the war that they didn't want to, that they didn't go into.
That is, Ambassador.
This also could help to many other students, people, foreigners who live, work on the territory of Ukraine.
Yeah. Ambassador, we appreciate your time. That's Ambassador, South African Ambassador to the Ukraine, Liubov Abravitova, there, explaining the situation on the ground becoming dire and chaotic, and the Ukraine unable at this point, as the ambassador puts it, to provide for all the needs of not only people of the Ukraine, but South Africans and Africans in general, 16,000 of them that they know of who are stranded currently in the Ukraine, and call to all nations to provide some humanitarian support for those individuals, even though the ambassador says currently there is no secure humanitarian corridor that has been opened, as there are missiles flying everywhere currently in the Ukraine.